Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we're here. Geek First Podcast. We're about to. Well, I guess I'm Travis now. I'm the very, very happy Travis now.
Very happy, Dylan Moss,
Liam Grogan,
and Kyle Smith.
Yeah, so it's legit, much like what we're gonna be reviewing today, like a Civil War crossover. You got two Geek First, you got two Dynamic Duo. You know, this is your second time a month being on Geek First.
Yeah, it's crazy.
How does it feel?
It feels, I feel honored.
Well, we should probably reveal the main topic. We're debating on whether or not you should spend money on Ray-Bans.
Oh, that's a rant.
That's certainly good.
I'm putting that on my phone because I have so many talks. We got to do one soon. We'll record one soon. But no, what we're luckily talking about is not Ray-Bans.
How many people are like, nah, sure, turn it off.
Yeah. Luckily, we're not talking about Ray-Bans. We were fortunate enough, the four of us, we got to see Civil War early. We got to see it at the time it's recording Thursday, May 14th, right?
No.
Oh, shit. No.
Yeah. Still April.
Everyone's seen it by then, yeah, because it comes out May 6th. Yeah, we saw it in an early screening, guys, 3 weeks later. Yeah, so we got to see it like 3 weeks and a change early, and yeah, we almost didn't get in. That was a really...
Yeah, that was super something.
We got tickets, and apparently my name was on the list, and they stopped us for a bit and like put us to the side, and it was literally like heart-wrenching. I was literally about to have a heart attack, but luckily we made it in, and then... We're not going to give away anything, big story, plot points. It's just our thoughts on the movies. And, yeah, who wants to start thoughts on the movies?
Let's just say it is 1,000. Actually, make that 1,000,000 times better than Batman vs Superman.
I was waiting for the first person to drop that. How come...
I was going to say the first thing. Batman vs Superman, in comparison, is such a steaming pile of shit in comparison. Because they really deal with the same... tone and the same, it's good guys fighting good guys over ideological differences, and this movie is everything Batman vs Superman should have been and then wasn't, because they had proper writers and they actually gave us what do you really? You're gonna defend Batman vs Superman?
No, just proper writers. Like Chris Terrio's an Oscar winner, you know. Well, sometimes shit just doesn't mix.
Yeah, exactly. And
that entire movie didn't mix.
Yeah, well, unless you wanted a shit sandwich, then you got it.
Wow.
But no, it was just, we actually got time to actually explore everyone's motivations, why they act like how they do, as opposed to, like, you're, even at the end, you're like, why are they not just talking to each other? Like, hey, it's Batman, he's got my mom, so he wants me to kill you, we should probably just fight it. Also, Martha.
Spoilers.
Martha.
Yes.
It's been out for long enough, people have seen it.
I think what you're trying to get at is the ideologies and why they're fighting. It makes sense the way they do it, and it's not in a way where you feel like it could be resolved easy.
Each motive of the character too. It's not like only one person or another.
Yeah,
person.
and there's a lot of gray area, which is nice. It's not a kindergarten world. It's not black and white. You could go either way depending on if you were in their shoes. It's really well written.
What's good about it is that there's just so many characters and you still feel like each one gets the proper amount of time.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing I think I like about it is I feel like even in Avengers, Age of Ultron, there's usually a character that falls aside. Like Avengers, Hawkeye is brainwashed. So he's just kind of there, right? And then in Age of Ultron, they got some moments to shine, but I felt like the twins, like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, they were just kind of there. Like
I don't know. I can see that.
What was Quicksilver's personality?
Well, he doesn't really have a personality to begin with.
He does in the comics, though.
He does in the comics, but I thought for his short introduction, for how long he was actually in the movie, I thought it was like, okay.
But this is what I counter you with. You walk away having a feeling about Spider-Man and Black Panther and their personalities, their characters. That's
but
the
I'm
comparison
also more familiar with those two than
it's
I
true.
am with Quicksilver.
I just feel like with both of for Marvel, the past two big team-up movies, one or two characters fall the wayside of either.
I would have said Vision would have fallen away in Ultron.
What? He does too.
Yeah.
No, that's for sure. I think just they give him the Thor hammer. Like, they give him a few more cool moments, but I feel like with each of those movies, a character suffered from it. From this movie, though, no one suffered from it. I feel like everyone got a big action moment and a big character moment. That's the biggest thing. Like Vision, like you said, last movie, but he did get some action, so that was cool. But character was still kind of lacking. But everyone gets something that's a cool action scene. They do something phenomenal that you remember.
Memorable for everyone.
Yeah, and then they do something character-wise that matches their character or something that you're interested in and you want to see going forward.
No, I was just gonna agree with you as well too. For someone who doesn't read comic books,
yeah, you see a lot. Yeah.
I feel like you get a pretty good gist of each character and what their motivations are. Like Liam was saying that he doesn't really know much of Quicksilver, but even again, for someone who doesn't read the comics, at all, you get a pretty good understanding of like, well, I have no idea about Quicksilver at all, like what his character is really. It's kind of just, oh, he's there, he's the twin, and they're just brother and sister, and that's it.
He runs fast.
Meanwhile, in this movie, like each person got their own time in the screenplay, like we said before, and I think it made it more of a quality movie and something more you can relate to for each character as well too.
Yeah, I feel that's the biggest thing too with this, with so many characters, the pacing so well done, because it never feels. You said this to me. Oh, I think in the car right after, but you said this to all of us, I guess, that it didn't feel like you were checking characters off of like, oh, I saw this person, I saw this person.
Yeah.
Like, literally anytime, these aren't spoilers, but when Hawkeye comes in, or when Ant-Man, or when Spider-Man, you weren't like, okay, I'm waiting. They came in at the right moment, they came in where it fit, and it didn't feel forced. And that's what I was really worried about, most particularly with Spider-Man going in, that was going to feel really forced, because they got him kind of late in the game, and that it's a big character, and I really worried that he would take away from everything, but it really, really fits. You know, like his part in the movie, it's great for what it is, but it doesn't take away from the rest of the people.
But for like Spider-Man, like that's his intro as a whole character, right? The only thing we knew from it was like that one quick picture in the trailer, right? Yeah, and so for other characters that have had their movies already, their intro into this series, it's well done, for sure.
Well, and like, just I almost don't want to keep shitting on Batman vs. Superman, but that's how you introduce a character, not through an email with a couple JPEGs attached to it.
Right.
The way that they introduced Spider-Man and even Ant-Man, it felt natural.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like it was taken, you've kind of like, the movie's ground to a halt, and like Batman's I-aming Wonder Woman. Like, it just felt natural the way they introduced
it feels very in place. Like, it feels like it fits the story.
And that there is a bigger world out there besides what's just happening with these individual heroes. That stuff's still happening.
Even the way Panther comes in, he comes in a way where you kind of feel like, oh, there is a reason why we haven't seen him yet, because he's off doing his own things. That's not a spoiler, but it's just the character's doing his own stuff, and then when, like, worlds collide with this, he has a reason to get into it. It's not another thing of, like, oh, we need, like... Yeah, I can't say that. It would be a spoiler. But it comes in a good way, as far as it feels right with the story. It doesn't feel out of nowhere. Like, I don't want to compare too much, but like you said with Batman vs. Superman, the introduction of the Justice League does feel very out of nowhere. It feels very much like we need to set up for the movie.
And if that was like an hour earlier in that movie, I think it might have been slightly better.
Or done different. Like,
just in the middle of the Batman-Superman fight, it was like...
Well, yeah, and that's my biggest thing with this movie. It's pacing, and this is not a spoiler. You've seen the trailers, but obviously there's a fight scene at the airport, and they don't... cut away at some point to like Thunderbolt Ross like signing contracts or doing something like they don't that's what happened. That's what did happen a lot with that BVS. You were into something and then it cut away and you're like, that's weird. And it's funny to say, but the pacing felt very much like if you read a graphic novel that has all the issues put together, because it would be like, oh, let's say there's a scene with these characters, and then it comes back maybe a little later, and then a little later, and it kind of matched, and then it would all culminate at some point. It didn't feel messy, which is strange, because this movie has at least 12 main characters. It has 12, like, not main characters, but they have 12 characters that you have to juggle. And it could have been, and that's the way, I don't think Ultron was a huge mess, but there was times you could see that they didn't really know what to do with certain characters or pacing, but this was really, I felt like, even though it's different writers, they maybe would have learned from their mistakes a bit of looking at Ultron, because in Ultron you have Thor, like, what's he going to do? Oh, he's just going to go off and do this thing on his own, and it doesn't really have to do with this movie, And that's what I was going back to, was setting up the Justice League. With this, obviously Marvel's setting up for huge, big movies down the line. Like, we already know movies announced, but it doesn't feel like that in the time. Where that's the thing, not even for Batman Superman, even with Ultron, that's what Thor's scene felt like at the time. It felt like, we're going to put him in a bath, he's going to see all these gems because we really want you to know what's coming next. But this felt so...
It was just natural with it. And
it felt organic.
And even then, this might be a slight spoiler, but like that giant scene at the airport is only at the end of like Act 2.
Oh, yeah,
There's a lot more to go. And like I thought that would be the big kind of culmination of everything. Yeah. And that was the only time I checked my watch, because I was like, oh shit, is the movie almost done?
Yeah.
Because... Like Batman vs. Superman, I was kind of like, I kind of wanted it to end. Even when I watch Ultron, I'm like, okay.
It goes long, Ultron.
Yeah, like, let's go. Whereas this one, that movie could have been another hour, and I would have been happy.
It did not feel like
so 2 hours and I think like 10 minutes.
2 hours, 10, 15, like plus credits, but like it did not feel like that at all. It really flew by.
Yeah, it was just really, really well done.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that we said too when we walked out, all the actors did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Even ones where like Scarlett Johansson,
well,
I think is fine.
We can talk cast now.
Yeah, okay. So like Scarlett Johansson, I thought was good in the other movies, but she really blew me away with this one. Like they really knew how to dress her character and made it interesting. Like and even Hawkeye had his moments. Everybody had their own like, I guess, little monologue that really stood out, but it didn't. But it didn't feel like you're just kind of like checking off. Here's this. Here's that.
Even though they probably were when they were writing it. They're like, but like if they did it in a way that didn't feel like
and like everybody kind of got their moment to share their motivations for why they're on Team Cap or Team Iron Man, and it just like it was just a very cohesive movie that you can tell was made for the fans and made to be a good movie as opposed to set everything else up. Yeah. But it still did set other things up in the future too.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, and it's kind of funny, someone brought this to my attention, but it's funny, like, when Scarlett Johansson's the best is when she's working with the Russo brothers. They really get that character, because in Winter Soldier, that's her best movie to date. And I said...
I would argue this one is, but prior...
No, but that's what I mean. Prior, for sure. Like, that's the thing I walked out of. I'm always like, she's done a good job, but I've never been blown away. And I wouldn't say you're going to be blown away from her in this movie. Like, you're not going to be like, my God, because there's a lot of really good performances, but... She gives her best one yet, and it feels like it's in the background, like it complements the rest of the movie. You know, it doesn't feel too like what I worry with Spider-Man, like too overshadowing. It's just good. Like it's my favorite one she's done so far, and it does make me like the character a bit more. And yeah, I guess we can kind of go from top to bottom as far as I said this. I think in the car too that I feel like. If you were to look at the entire Marvel franchise and look at the most improved actor, I feel like Chris Evans would be that person. Because I feel like you look at the first Captain America, and he was good, but like I feel like he's like Scarlett Johansson, where he's just kind of like good, like he's getting used to it, and he got better in Avengers, and he got better in Winter Soldier. But in this movie, it's not what you'd think if you're thinking it's gonna be like Avengers like 2.5 or a 3. Like it still feels like a Captain America movie.
Yeah, it kind of feels more of a Captain America.
Yeah, movie. And that's what I like. Like even with Tony Stark in there, he has his own scenes, but it doesn't feel ever like it's his movie and Tony. It feels like it's Evans. So that's why I feel like Evans did such a good job of. Yeah, there's probably flashier performances with like a Spider-Man or a Black Panther, but I feel like he's really the anchor of the movie because if he doesn't work. It doesn't. Yeah. None of it, because you spend the most time with him.
Yeah. And I got to give credit to him as an actor, too. To be Captain America and to be the most, like, patriotic hero without coming off as cheesy and, like, hoorah is a really hard... Yeah, like
he says that before every fight scene.
Yeah, but I mean, like a G.I. Joe, like, it could be, like, really cheesy and kind of like a shtick. And I think I got to give it to... actually, who wrote the first Captain America?
I don't know if it was Joe Johnson.
But regardless, and then Josh Whedon and then the Russo brothers have really done a great job of, like, he is a patriotic hero without a doubt, but without turning him into that
stereotypical American patriotic.
Yeah, and it's like he is Captain America,
white and blue,
and he believes in American values, but it's never like America, hoorah. It's more to like the world is his country now, and he's out there to protect that. Mm-hmm. And so I really enjoyed that. I mean, everybody that you've seen before was great, but I think probably everyone wants to hear about all the people they've added, such as Black Panther and Spider-Man, which were phenomenal. Mm-hmm. They were so good.
There are some that's the same writers that stuck with Winter Soldier. I don't think they did this one, but there was the same that they had that as their credits.
Okay. So what did you guys think of Black Panther and Spider-Man?
Black Panther was so badass.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
The actor definitely... What's his name, the actor?
Chadwick Boseman.
Okay, I'm not really familiar with him, but
he is newer.
You seen the Jackie Robinson movie 42?
Yeah, that was his like big break.
He did a good job. He was very mysterious, but I feel like that fits with the character, the hero in general. I don't know Black Panther from the comics or anything, but I think it fit.
Yeah, he was good.
Mm-hmm.
I love Black Panther. I thought it was awesome. He did a really great job, and you really felt his motives in the character, and through the whole his own change during the whole movie as well too.
Yeah,
I thought that was really interesting. And Spider-Man, like, blown away by Spider-Man.
Yeah, I've never been like a big cinematic Spider-Man fan. Like I like the Tobey Maguire ones. I really dislike the Andrew Garfield ones. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily for him, but
just the script.
Just the scripts and the way that it was all done. But like, so I was kind of like, I know Spider-Man's like their big guy. Like you always call him the Mickey Mouse. Like I know he's like their big thing. And but I was kind of like, I don't want to see him again. And the moment that he walked into that apartment. And like that's not really a spoiler. He has a home. He doesn't live in a box.
True.
And like and then you see him, and right away you're like, he's a kid, like Spider-Man should be. He's not like a late 20s
guy
that's playing a high school student. You're like, he's a kid, And then he's done everything that Spider-Man should be. He's funny, he's quirky, he's nerdy, and he's
nervous too.
And he's so excited to be there.
Yeah.
Like I thought the coolest thing when there's the big fight, like everyone was kind of like, I think it was like Scarlett Johansson or something called it, but like pulling their punches because like they're ideologically different, but they're still friends. So they're not going out to kill each other, but they're still doing probably one of the coolest fight scenes ever. Mm-hmm. And like, he was just so good in it. He was like, he made me so excited for the new Spider-Man, which I can't honestly say that I haven't been for probably about 10 years. So
yeah. No, I think even with, like, and I won't spoil how they do it, but the very first introduction they give him, I got goosebumps when the certain shot of something comes up. And the whole theater, like, had this, like, breath of fresh air, and you knew it was coming. That's still my favorite. And they pick a great song, too, but that's my favorite thing is, I've always been a Tobey fan, but the thing that does hurt Tobey is he was, like, a 30-year-old guy playing, Spider-Man. But, like, he was the closest to doing the nervous kind of geeky sort of thing, mm-hmm. but I feel like Tom Holland is going to nail that. And he does in this movie, but I mean, I can't be like, oh, he's the best Spider-Man ever, because it is a small thing. He's more in it more actually than I thought he would be, truthfully.
Mm-hmm. Which is great. Yeah. I couldn't get enough of him, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what you want to walk out of the theater thinking, and they did their job there. But I think, it's hard. Like, I don't want to talk about which scenes he in, but he does a great job, and you do feel like you're watching Peter Parker, and that's... I'm really excited for that. I guess I can't say that. It's a little spoiler. But he did a really good job. And with Boseman as Black Panther, my favorite thing is he did really good acting-wise, and it was one of these things that, like you said, you were kind of mad that they delayed the movie. And I kind of agree. Like, I understand Spider-Man. I definitely want to see this Black Panther movie, though.
Yeah, because it got me so... Like, I was excited for it beforehand. And then seeing him on screen and, like, living up to my expectations and then some.
I think for, like, action-wise, he's, like, the MVP. He is a great character, but action-wise, he is the MVP. Because the action scenes he is in, your eye's always on him. Because they do a good job. Obviously, his name is Panther and whatnot. But they could have easily just had this kind of stoic guy who just jumps. But they feel like he has a unique fighting style and a unique character. And I won't spoil how you learn that. But when they are fighting, everyone, like, they're... they do a good job of, yes, he does fit with the movie, but he feels like an outsider. He doesn't feel like the rest of the Avengers. And I like that.
At no point does he quip.
Yeah, that's what I try to just say in a way that he doesn't spoil, but that's the thing, like, I won't spoil how, but like everyone else is quipping, and like he's in that nonsense attitude, and that's what I like, because you do need certain characters like that, and that's what puts him aside. And just as actually like T'Challa, he does a good job, and you, once again, it's every character's motivations you understand and you get. There's not any motivations where you're kind of like, well, it's a little far-fetched, or like they don't explain it that well. And like I don't want to say it like I said, but with Batman vs. Superman, that to me is the biggest problem. There are some other problems with the film as far as pacing and whatnot, but why they fight is it's very... like cookie cutter. It's not well explained.
No, it's very contrived,
and it's very easily that you could have
talked your way out of it.
Yeah, like I was trying to think of it, but like with this, like I said at the beginning, they have to fight. And when we're going back to the team thing, I said this in the car too, that I was Team Cap all the way. I'm a big Captain America fan. I love Captain America because I've always liked him being like the good boy, and he's just, I've read him for years. So, but by the end of the movie, you don't really know who you're going for, and like it's a bad example because of how it panned out with Batman. I started a Batman fan, and then at the end I was still rooting for Batman. So like, I'm always Batman. But I think that was the good thing in this movie was I started Captain America, but by the middle/end, I was very like, okay, I don't really know who I want. Like they both have specific reasons why they're right. And that's what I really like.
Good reasons as well too.
Pardon me?
They're good reasons.
Too. Like they fit in the narrative.
It's not like one has like a super weak, like I just don't want to.
Yeah,
like it's really good. Like even then, so this is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. But there's this fight scene between Iron Man, Bucky, and Captain America, and like in that fight scene, like, well, first of all, I think you whispered in my ear, if one of them yells Martha, I'm gonna lose it.
Oh yeah, yeah. No,
which I think I would have died laughing. But even in that fight, like at no point was I like, oh shit. There's no way Iron Man can win, or there's no way Captain America can win. And I was like, no matter what's going to happen, this is going to have, like, I was just so drawn into it because I could see both sides, and I could see both sides fighting it out, and why everybody was doing everything, and it was really well choreographed too. Like it wasn't. I was worried it was going to be a little jump cutty because I think the first scene at the beginning of the movie starts off with a big action scene.
That's a little cutty,
and it was a little cutty, and I was like, I really hope they don't do that for the superheroes because I want to see them in their glory, and they didn't, and I really, really like that part. So
well, that's what I was gonna say. We'll probably talk about that more later, and we can't, I guess, too much because spoilers. But legitimately, the airport scene and other scenes too, just minor scenes, it's definitely, I think, the best action I've seen in a comic book movie.
I agree as well too.
Yeah, and then I feel like even if I made a top 10 of action movies, like just action scenes, it would be in there as well. Like, it's not one of these of like, oh yeah, it's just good action for a comic book movie. It's really well choreographed, and the fight scenes are really well done, and it's what I like in most movies, that it's very kind of even and balanced. You know, like they usually had me on the edge of my seat.
I feel like the filming of all the fight scenes as well too makes it a lot better. Wasn't much like in most of the fight scenes there wasn't a lot of CGI with the characters themselves. Like you actually see the characters fighting each other.
Yeah,
some CGI mess that's happening in front.
Like
of you.
obviously they're wearing CGI suits, but they're like you can see.
But it's not like it's. You can tell that they went in front of a green screen, and you can tell they actually really choreographed the fights out.
Yeah,
and that was kind of a breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
compared to some other stuff, but
I thought it was just really well done, and like even like Black Widow, like even her stench that she has as well too. In the beginning of the movie, like that whole fight scene,
that was great.
That was amazing,
and they do a good job making you feel like why she is a part of the team. Like even though because there are still some people that question that of like, oh, she's just a normal person, whatnot. Yeah, they do a good job. I feel with her and Black.
Well, I mean, you were even saying like before the movie, you're like, well, who can she really compete with?
No, that was Leah.
That was me. Yeah.
And I was trying to
because I was thinking like I know like Thor and the Hulk aren't in this movie. They're also not in the comic book. And it's like between her and Hawkeye, like what is she gonna do against like Iron Man? I was actually going to bring up this point. In the fight, it's kind of like you're thinking like, okay, so it's going to be like, you're kind of pairing them up. Okay, so it's going to be like Captain America against like Iron Man. But everybody kind of fights everybody in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you get to see all the different kind of fighting styles. See Spider-Man kick a bunch of asses and then get his ass kicked. And then he comes back.
People will
and then
pair off and fight one guy.
And then it'll be like a 2-on-1. Then it'll be like a 3-on-2. And then it was just... And Falcon was awesome in this movie.
Yeah.
Throughout it all, he was like... I think he was probably an MVP for somebody that I really didn't care about.
Yeah.
American, like I liked him
either.
I was like kind of like, okay, he's just there.
I like the actor more than the character. That was the thing.
Yeah.
Like in Winter Soldier, he was all right, and then as time has gone on, like I've seen him in other movies. I can't remember the other one, but I saw one and then like the night before, and I've started to really like him. But I'm still on Sam Wilson. I'm kind of like, man, he's just kind of Cap's friend. He's just kind of there. But he does a good job of kind of being his like wingman in a way. No pun intended.
I would have even got that, and then it would have been a minute later if that was good.
But he is throughout the movie. Like this is not much of a spoiler, but he feels like he's Captain America's rock, and he obviously has other friends, Captain America. But he does feel like if he's going to anybody, it's him. And just the actual acting wise, he does a good job of that.
Yeah.
What I was gonna throw out, I feel like with this movie analogy, I was thinking about it today. I feel like this movie is like a bank, and usually you'll have someone that'll steal the scenes, and if it wasn't for Spider-Man and Black Panther, I think the person people have been talking about the most as far as kind of humor and stealing scenes is Ant-Man. Paul Rudd does a great job. Like if it wasn't for those two, I feel like everyone would be coming out talking about Ant-Man, and
I'm so excited for Ant-Man 2.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Everyone's gonna be so pumped for Ant-Man 2, and like I won't spoil the scenes, but even the scenes where he is like, no, I'm not even talking action scenes. The scenes that he's in as Scott. What the fuck is his last name?
I don't know. In my head, he's always Hank Pym. But then
because he's Scott. Yeah, but either way, he does such a good job, and he feels like he belongs. Because truthfully, that was the one because Paul Rudd is a bigger star than than most of them. To be honest, that was when he was cast as Ant-Man, and then when they said he was going to be Civil War, that one almost stuck out to me. Not as Spider-Man like with character, that stuck out to me. Is it going to stick out with Paul Rudd, this kind of bigger A-lister guy being in here with they're all A-listers, but I feel like he's higher because he has his own just franchises that are comedy and this and that. He's a proven property, but he really fit in, and they do a good job, and he's so funny. He's really funny.
Everything that comes out of his mouth was hilarious, and like we're not saying that as like just like fanboys. We missed I don't know how many jokes.
Oh yeah, we missed
because we laughed so hard at some of the stuff that everybody was saying, but like. They were really good jokes. They didn't feel forced, like in BVS when he goes, "I thought she was with you." Yeah, you're kind of like, okay, like I chuckled, but it seemed a little forced with the overall kind of tone that the movie was going for.
Another thing with that is that there wasn't as much humor in Batman vs Superman, so a lot like some of these jokes were like in the trailer and stuff. Yeah. So we already saw them coming. Yeah. Whereas in this movie, I don't even.
There's a lot of jokes.
These jokes were all like fresh in the movie.
There's at least I'd say like a joke at least every maybe 5 minutes, because there is some periods where it does get really serious.
But I feel like it wasn't the whole movie wasn't
No. They use humor to really alleviate the tension, but without ruining impactful scenes.
And there is times where they go for a serious tone and they go for seriousness, and it fits. And like it fits a story for a while. And that's my favorite thing about this movie is it is really comedic, but there are times where it gets dark, not BVS dark, but it gets dark and it doesn't feel out of place. And I think that's the other thing too, like almost what you were saying with BVS is not only with the trailers, but there are so few jokes that when they do happen, they do stick out, even though they might be good. Like I still will go to bat for that line with Batman when he saves Martha and like, oh, is that your cape or whatever? Like, oh, whatever. I could tell with the cape. I actually really like that, but it still sticks out though because there's like maybe 3 other jokes.
Yeah. And he just killed about 30 guys.
Well, yeah, that really sticks out.
And then it was ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which it's kind of funny, like this is not a spoiler because it happens to all the movies, but whenever the Avengers are killing people, I always like check. I'm like, oh right, that's just Batman. That's not supposed to kill people because like this is not a spoiler because he's done it before. But they kill a lot of people in this movie, and they're bad, not like good people, but like they like kill like a lot of bad guys. And it's just like
I guess it's spoiler, but a lot of innocents too.
But. Yeah, they kill innocents, but this is not a spoiler because that's in the trailer. They show them, remember Sokovia and everything like that?
Oh yeah, it happened in the past Avenger movie.
Yeah, that's
but in this one, there's the event at the beginning of the movie that sparks off the big conflict.
I think the conflict was already started.
But this is the catalyst to it.
But I mean, like that's a mistake where like these people, like the bad guys, they deliberately just kill like a lot of people.
Yeah,
you know.
Also, actually, now I'm just thinking out loud. No, because that's spoiler.
Okay, we'll reel back to cast then.
Yeah.
The other person that does, there's one I'm saving big. We'll get there. The other person that does good, that to me, another one. This is the strongest film to me is Don Cheadle. To me, in all other movies, he's not got to do anything other than just be the funny guy. I won't get into it, but there are some serious scenes with him. Yeah. And because Don Cheadle's a fantastic actor, and in like his second life, he kills it. And there's scenes that legitimately the most emotional scene are a few scenes that he was in because they. Like that's the thing where I won't take away, but there's people that are maybe newer like Sebastian Stan where I feel like it's not a complaint, but like when there's emotional scenes with him, it's not as strong because I feel like he's not as strong as actor. It's still good, but just because Don Cheadle's so much better than a lot of actors in Hollywood, it's just raised. So I just wanted to shout him out. I just feel like this is like on a resume, this is everyone's shining Marvel movie in a way. Yeah. You know, like this. If I think about best performances. And I'm trying to think of other people before.
Even then, like, Sebastian Stan is probably not the best actor, but he holds his own.
Yeah.
And, like, he's definitely plays, he's had his mind messed up.
Well, that's
for the
it,
last,
he plays
90 years.
Yeah, the Bucky part is great. Or Winter Soldier part is great. Anytime he's Winter Soldier, he's super scary, and I love it. It's always, to me, the Bucky thing is a little... and it's way better than it was in Winter Soldier. But he's still, to me, it's not a complaint, but if we're talking about cast... I'd put him at the bottom as far as like the actors.
But the thing is, he's still phenomenal. Yeah. But in comparison to everybody else's phenomenal performances,
it's like in a list of like good to great, he's there. I'm not saying like everyone's good and great, and then like this sore thumb really sticks out, you know. And once again, I'm not saying like he was bad, but like in the way Eisenberg to me steps out a little in BVS, where you just think about him like. I'm not saying he's bad, but he really feels so much different than everyone else.
Yeah, you're like, oh, what if it would have been someone else?
Yeah, or just a different take. But Stan, like even if it's not anything amazing, he like fits. Do you two feel the same way about Winter Soldier?
Well, I really like Winter Soldier, and I think he did an awesome job as well too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This movie as well, like he did awesome, but he kind of got away from that Winter Soldier Bucky and into
more Bucky,
like
the very first
Captain Morgan. Captain Morgan.
Wow. We're all the Captain.
Captain America.
Spoiler. Captain Morgan's on.
Yeah. There's actually there's a whole pirate ship scene that's just phenomenal.
When you see the big lineup in the movie, they CGI'd out Captain Morgan. Yeah, he brings in everybody, and then Robert Downey Jr. starts bringing Captain Jack, and it's
Captain America was great.
Yeah.
So we get alcohol.
You could really see that connection between those two, and like, and also like, I guess it's not really a spoiler that's like part of the conflict of.
Yeah, because he wants to Bucky is his friend, and they do those scenes well. You do really feel actually, even more than the first Captain America. To me, that's maybe where I have the stank on Sebastian Stan. Is I feel like they want you to feel like they're best friends, but in that movie, the first Avenger, I don't feel like they're best friends. I feel like they're just kind of. I don't know, and they do this thing of like Sebastian Stan's kind of the big brother, but there was something there where this movie does feel like they are good friends or were best friends or whatever you want to say.
And it was nice, like in Winter Soldier, admittedly because in Winter Soldier he's obviously
brainwashed.
Yeah, brainwashed. It didn't just kind of feel like it was Captain America. Like they were kind of meeting each other halfway in the whole friendship thing. It didn't feel kind of one-sided. Although like when you first meet him, it's kind of like, okay, no, all right.
And Stan does a good job of
that.
that. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
no, like I said, it's not anything I wouldn't call it bad. I would just say that was maybe, like I said, for the lesser for me. The person that it's not much of a spoiler, but like for the screen time he has, which is not much, is Thunderbolt Ross to me. He's brought back. He was in Hulk for people that didn't know. And he's just really good. When I saw him, I'm just like, I actually want him to be in more Marvel movies. I want him to be just around because I love William Hurt.
Yeah,
he does a good job at the role.
And I thought he was going to be the big bad evil guy, but he was actually kind of like the middle ground.
Yeah.
But I thought he was going to be the one that was really pushing one side or the other.
Yeah.
And he was just the middle ground, but like, no, this is how it is. He was like the human aspect of it as opposed to like the superheroes. Mm-hmm. And I thought he did a good job of that.
Yeah. The other two I said shout out. I have the big one. Is Paul Bettany and Jeremy Renner. They do good jobs like that. They're not like they also have their moments, but they're not given like super meaty stuff. But they do a good job. I do want to see in the future though. I don't know if it's gonna be a solo film. I still do want to see a bit more from Vision. Yeah. Like, I don't. It's not a negative, but like I do want to get more into that character. So. Mm-hmm. That was my only thing, and then this was I think the last. Did we go over everybody? Well, I'll say this last one, then we'll talk about. But is Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. For me, there's all these good performances, and I definitely got to see it again, but we've had a couple days to sit on it, and I don't want to give him that title yet, but I almost feel he's almost the MVP of the movie because it's his best. Once again, I said this with everybody, it's their best performance, but it's his best performance in a Marvel movie to me by miles because he does something
he's different. He's not just quippy Robert Downey Jr. He has that.
Like I won't get into spoilery, but
he's really conflicted and he's really dealing with his own personal issues.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's
a lot of personal issues.
and then that's really being exacerbated by the whole Captain America thing. Mm-hmm. And those two heading off, like they have a couple scenes together that are really, really good acting.
They're great, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I definitely agree with you, and I think what makes that even better is that he's been in like so many, right? Because he's been there's 4 Iron Mans, right?
3.
There's 3, and then there's 2 Avengers.
Yeah, like he's been in the most out of all of them.
Yeah.
So to say that it's his best performance, it's definitely true. I agree.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna say the same thing as Dylan as well too. It's just you see him on not just quick witty guy, more of a serious role.
Yeah.
Kind of not the funny guy, and he's the groundwork for what you'll see in this movie.
Yeah, and I feel like it's his best one since Iron Man 1, because Iron Man 1 they did kind of get more into, he was quippy, but you felt he had motivations or he was kind of changing. Yeah. I felt like there was a point where they just kind of got in this, I wouldn't say rut, because it's still good, but just just a familiarity with the character of like, this is what he is. And they don't really need to change him. And it's like, we would never complain because what he does is great. Mm-hmm. But it was good to see something different. And that is still there. Like, if you like the quippy, he's not Bruce Wayne in this movie. I'm not saying that. But he brings a new level to it. And it's a new level that, I don't know, Downey just did something different. Obviously, it was writing as well. But it felt very fresh. That's why I like the theory. Where it felt fresh. We're in a time where Iron Man, other than the fun, you weren't feeling like there was fresh. You were getting more interested in other Avengers, and that's where I feel like Cap. That's so many people like Cap because he's had a couple movies, like especially Winter Soldier, where you see his character changing so much. Where Iron Man 3 I actually really like, but they give him this whole PTSD thing, but they never really dive deep in it. It's like he's scared of the suit, he's scared of whatnot, but then he's not scared of the suit, but then he's still fine doing action and just killing people, and then they do this whole thing where he blows up the suits, but then he's still Iron Man in the next one. Like there's this very much like, well, he's just Tony Stark Iron Man, so keep him around, But this movie feels like there's a real purpose from writing and acting wise. Like I feel like it's his best, and I love Black Panther. He's definitely like I don't know who would be my MVP, but like he's great, and Spider-Man's probably my MVP for like comedic wise. But if I had to go almost like on the whole for this one, it's Robert Downey Jr. I think the reason it stands out for me is because I don't know the last time I've said that. Maybe the original Avengers, but I feel like in other movies that's been happening, it's been other characters. Not overshadowing him, but just maybe getting a bit more to chew on. Where this movie, really, like even Ultron, they do this whole thing where, like they don't like I don't know, like he kind of says he feels bad or like mistaken for making Ultron, but they don't really get into that. It's always he's just always like super cool guy Tony who like throws it to the side, and it makes sense. But after this time and after all the stuff that's happened, it makes sense that he shouldn't be that way anymore, and that's the way he plays it. It feels like it's been weighing on him now,
Yeah.
So. Did we miss anybody as far as main cast, like fighting wise? I'm trying to think of the teams right now.
What was I can't forget her name. She was
Elizabeth
Vision.
Olsen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Scarlet Witch was really good.
That's her best movie too. Yeah.
Well, they actually gave her something to do in this one.
Yeah.
And it was And
it's a nice arc too that I want to see that continues. I won't say what it is, but it's a nice little arc.
Yeah.
And
Thank God we got her and got rid of the Olsen twins, eh? We definitely lucked out on that. You know that's their little sister.
No, right? I know. It's just really random just to hate on for the Olsen
twins. Just because I remember, I think it was Godzilla was
like
her first one. I was like, kind of like, oh, here we go. And then I was like, oh.
Yeah.
You're really good.
Yeah, and that's where too, like, she was good in Ultron, but very not memorable to me. Like, she's just, you remember her because she has her powers, but character-wise...
And she's the only other girl in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Character-wise, you just remember that her brother dies. Like, sorry, spoiler if you haven't seen Ultron, but, like, come on now. But, like, this movie, I feel like there's some times, and this is not to say this, but with BVS, there's not all the times where you felt like you needed to see a solo movie. I felt like tomorrow or after this movie, if they announce like a Vision solo movie, I'm down. If they announce like a Scarlet Witch solo movie, I'm down. Or like team up movies, you know, like they gave each character a reason for me to like what they did or like it story wise and want to see more. You know, where if you would ask me in Ultron, hey, you want to see a Scarlet Witch movie? I would have been like, not really. Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, like if she's in a team, cool, but like character wise, they gave her nothing. So
I definitely agree with that because right after Age of Ultron. Like I didn't even know the character's name, honestly. Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I'm like not a huge comic book character fan, but like I really like that character, just like the power and everything with it. And so I'm really glad that they gave her some depth in this movie for sure.
Yeah. And if you loved her powers in the first one, you'll love her more in this one because she does some really sick stuff. Like she's like, it's hard not to spoil, but like she's definitely as far as like powers and whatnot, she has some really, really cool stuff she does.
And they also kind of address that in that big fight scene too. Because I think like right before she kind of, does like a big thing, you're thinking like, well, couldn't she just do, oh, no, she is doing that. Okay, that's good. Like it felt like they thought about the fight logically as opposed to like, sometimes when you see like a big fight like that, it's just like the most ridiculous eye candy.
Yeah.
There's no real thought to it. Or, breaking off a sink and beating Superman or, swinging him around on a chain.
I like those though. That was funny. I can't wait for that GIF.
but it wasn't like the most realistic thing, whereas this one it felt, despite it being superheroes, it felt like a little bit more of like a real fight.
Yeah. I'll fight you on a bit because the fight scene in Batman vs Superman to me is the standout point in the film. And I feel
but that's not a high bar.
But true.
But there definitely was some good things in it. The one thing that I will say about Vision is, I don't know if this is a spoiler, when he wears a sweater vest and slacks
they've released it, yeah.
I don't know why, but that just makes me laugh. Like,
anytime you see a character like that, like it's still like one of the coolest images of all time for me is Dr. Manhattan wearing a suit. Yeah. And that's like anytime you have a character that shouldn't be wearing something and you see that, you are kind of tickled by it. Like he has a sweater vest and he has slacks on.
When he was in the kitchen trying to cook, I was just giggling. I was like, what is he doing? Yeah. He's not even a person or whatever he is. What is he actually?
What? He's
robot
like slash. He's artificial intelligence. He's a robot, but then he has like human organisms and whatnot, and then he has an Infinity Stone in him. Yeah, gem.
That's the one thing I saw. They kind of addressed what the hell his powers are, but they still haven't really, which I think they need to.
Yeah, like for people that I don't think they ever will because it's that gem. So, is there anything anybody wants to say about Baron Zemo without spoiling it?
I don't think we can do it without spoiling it.
Okay. No. Yeah. I think the actor does a good job.
Oh, he was great. He was a really good part of the movie, but there's nothing we can really say without spoiling his whole plot.
Yeah. I think one thing, these are two things, and you could skip over a minute if you want, but I don't consider that spoiler. I'd say for hardcore comic fans, expect to maybe be a little disappointed or put your expectations a bit lower because he's not that guy. Yeah. He's not what you're expecting.
He's not purple unitard.
Yeah, and it's not even just look, maybe a little character-wise. So, and this is the one thing where I will say, we'll get into it when we do a spoiler one for sure, but I think funny to have almost like the same theme as BVS. I think that character and his arc will maybe be the most controversial. I'm not saying it's bad or good, but I feel like that's going to be the thing that some people might love and some people might hate. Because I could see people not liking it.
I could see that for hardcore comic book fans that wanted a bit more. Mm-hmm. But honest to gosh, I really think
he censored himself.
I'm trying not to swear as much.
Why?
Because I say fuck every other word, so I'm trying to make a personal effort, Travis. But regardless,
I appreciate that.
Fucking loser.
But I can't do that point without revealing that. Then.
Okay, then. Do you agree that it will be a controversy in the movie as far as just?
No.
No.
Because everything else is so strong, and it's not that his part's weak. It's different than what maybe you wanted or expected,
Yeah.
but it's not weak. You understand his motivations. It makes sense. And you could tell... Nah, I can't say that.
I'll agree with that. I personally like it, and I'm a hardcore comic book fans. I don't know how the community will respond to this take. I think I'm kind of like you, where I love the rest of the film so much that I'm kind of okay with what they do with it. And I'm saying, this is not me saying it's a bad thing. It's just it's a different take, and that's why I feel like it is kind of like the Jesse Eisenberg Luther thing, where that's a bad thing, but that was a different take, right?
Yeah.
I feel like this is a different take of what you know. As you two that don't read comic books and no spoiler, but like, are you fine with the villain as far as just the arc that it goes through?
I think I'm fine with the villain. I was about to say that as well too. I had no real issues, and I thought like it jived in well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've never read the Civil War comic book, so I have no idea like what you're talking about really.
Yeah.
But more than like, he did a good job, and I fully explained and I understand like what's going on. I think that's the biggest theme in this whole movie or film or whatever you like to call it, is that
event
that everyone is fully explained and is just well thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dylan?
same thing. Even with no expectations, you know their motives and whatnot, and the actor does a great job. So
yeah, he does do a good job.
I'm actually surprised he's not in more things, because he is really
I think he's
good.
playing more like international things, right? Because he's like...
Yeah, but not as much as you'd think.
Yeah, true.
Do people know who he is? Oh yeah, I guess they revealed who.
Yeah, they show the actor.
Yeah, Daniel Bruhl is playing him, and he was in what the hell was that car movie?
Rush.
And he's in Glorious Bastards. Like, he's a really good actor. I'd like to actually just see him in more things, but
Yeah.
which I'd say is my only complaint about his career, is that he doesn't do enough.
Yeah.
He should work
Yeah.
harder. Damn you! You are wonderful, and I want to see more of you.
Or you're his agent, get him more stuff.
Or it could just be like, because he's in like a movie every year. Because at the moment we got home, I checked out every single movie, every director, all the actors, and I don't do that. Like, because we got home at like what, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning.
And you're doing that because you liked him that much?
Yeah, because I liked it so much. I liked everybody, and I was like, I came home, and the whole next day I was so fucking jazzed for Phase 4. Like, I'm
I know.
yes, this is it.
Yeah.
Because like I was pumped for this movie, but I wasn't like all that excited. Like, I was like, oh, like I can't wait to see this. This will be fun.
You know what? I agree with you on that.
But I'm kind of tired of superhero movies. Like, where I'm getting that fatigue, and I love them. But I'm like, every month where there's another one, it's hard to keep that
Travis
hype
is
level
blue
up.
blood vessel. Right?
I know. Like,
No, I didn't. No.
but it's hard to keep that hype up. And then seeing Batman vs Superman, I'm like, here it goes. This is the beginning of the end. And I got really excited on our drive up to Vancouver to go see it. And then after it left, I'm like, no, I don't care. I can't wait. Everything's happening, and it's great.
Because
Marvel is great.
This is the way I feel about it. And I think we talked about this on our very first Dynamic Duo cast. So we were excited for Civil War, but we were always like, oh, we know we'll be at least good. So there's nothing to, like, you're not hyped in a certain way, because you're kind of like, even like, unless it was bad, like after, if it was bad in our opinions, then we'd be worried for the next one. I feel like that would make us more excited. But it's always, I don't think Marvel has ever yet to make a bad film. I think they've made a couple decent ones, but they've never made one where I'm like, man, that was bad, that deserves a failing grade. Like, I think I'd still say like Thor Ragnarok to me is like a 60. It's still a pass. There to me,
well,
I'm not made
you haven't
a
seen
one.
Thor Ragnarok.
Shit,
so.
yeah, Dark World. I have, no. That's what they showed at
Thor
the
the Dark
special
World.
screening.
I
Their preview
did-
was Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I actually really like Thor 2. I'm in a very, very small percentage by the
You definitely are, because lots of people hate that movie.
And I kind of get why they don't like it. I'm not
Yeah.
a big fan of what they did with Malekith, because I really like him in the comic books.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's necessarily a bad film. But it's by no means like it blew me away. But I was really entertained, and I think that's what we should take away.
But
from
I
it.
think that's where I'm going with this is, and I said this in the car, the last Marvel film, they've all been good, but the last one to blow me away was Guardians, and that was 2014, right?
Yeah.
So
it
2
seems
years
like it was
ago.
a lot longer.
It does.
Ago.
And that was the last one, like,
Yeah.
and even then, like I said, Ultron came out. I liked it. I had my problems, but whatever. Ant-Man came out. I wasn't blown away, but I liked it. Good, decent movie. But you had yet to be, since Guardians, in my opinion, and that's why Winter Soldier came out that same year. So,
Did it go Winter Soldier then Guardians?
yeah. So it was like still in that whole year of 2014, you had yet to been like blown away, and especially too, like it's kind of funny because it's their own brand. Because Daredevil and Jessica Jones come out, I was kind of like, man, like I love the Marvel movies, but this Netflix Marvel is just so much better, and it's great. Like not better, but it's just like I was so hyped with that. So it was like the movies almost to me fell in the backdrop of like I love the Netflix going on, and DC, whether you like BVS or not, they are starting their universe, so that's more exciting to begin with.
Their TV shows are good. I'm not a huge fan of their TV shows.
Who?
DC's.
Oh, yeah. No, I meant their DC movies. I mean, the reason we're excited, even though BVS was not the greatest, we're still excited because they're starting up the universe, right?
Well, I'm excited about certain characters.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, we're excited because it's the first time we get to see those characters, where now we've gotten past that. Like, with Civil War, it's kind of like... If you've been dating someone for a while, you're out of the honeymoon phase with Marvel, right? You're like, oh, they've given me everything. Now it's like, okay, we've been living together 3 years. I know what to expect. But then one day they come home. I don't know. I'm not going to get...
Just wearing an awesome costume.
Yeah, just your girlfriend
lingerie. But like, no. But I'm just saying, like, there's a honeymoon... They always say there's a honeymoon stage when you get married, and then it happens. And that's why I feel with Marvel, we were just kind of like, oh yeah, it'll always be good. But we had yet to... And who knows? You can maybe see Civil War, you won't agree. I find that very hard to believe, but like Civil War to me is the first one in a while to blow me away, and like you said, right away, that's all we talked about in the car. Like, I can't wait for Phase 4. I can't wait for that. I walked out. I can't wait for Infinity War. I can't wait to see more team, because the last one that they did all team up was Ultron. It was a little messy, so that kind of hurt. Of like, do I want them to team up as much now because it was kind of messy? But this. And especially now the Russo brothers are directing War 1 and 2. And I love that Infinity War is in 2 parts, because I feel like you need that. If it's going to have every character,
because I think otherwise, like, you would kind of... Something would get kind of like... Or they'd go by it too quickly.
Yeah.
And
we'll have to see, because if they pull like a Hunger Games Part 1 or something like that, then I will like scold them. Like, if they do the whole, like, a lot of build-up, and then Part 2 is like a bunch of great stuff. Like,
and then 1 is just like a waste of a film.
Yeah, 1 is just like you have to watch it to know certain things. Like, if it's just a set of
I've yet to see like a Part 1 and Part 2 that suck. Or sorry,
it's gonna be good.
That are good.
Because even to me, and I'm not a huge fan, but even Harry Potter to me, that part definitely Part 1 is it's tough to get through.
Hunger Games was a waste.
Yeah,
the whole Hobbit series was a waste.
And I'm just and that's what I mean. They've yet to really do a good one of that. But I can't. Well, I guess we'll go. There's 2 last things. Is there anything overall you guys want to say as we
I'm more excited about. Okay, so after you see BVS, you're like, okay, like, I'm excited to see what they do for like
Batman,
Wonder Woman, like, okay, like, let's see what happens with Batman. It's kind of like a let's wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, like, and even Suicide Squad, like, oh, like, let's wait to see what happens. Like, it could be good. It's looking good, but you never know. Mm-hmm. Whereas this one, like, leading out of this, you're like, you know what, Kevin Feige, just take my money now. Yeah. I know Doctor Strange is gonna kick ass. If they do a Gambit movie,
that's not them. That's Fox.
Okay,
you always
Gambit. Yeah, well, because I don't. But I know Doctor Strange is going to be sick. Mm-hmm. Guardians 2 is going to blow me away. I know that
we were at the point after the movie where I said a She-Hulk movie, and Liam would even accept it because it was that much of a high of like, you know what? If they want to do a She-Hulk movie, let them do a She-Hulk movie.
And they want to do Howard the Duck, let's do it.
They should.
To be honest, that would be the biggest fuck you to DC I can imagine. To make Howard the Duck like $1 billion movie.
I desperately want him in Guardians 2 to have like some supporting character.
I think it would be hilarious.
But anyways, you're saying you're just...
I'm so excited for it, because I know it's going to be sweet, and I know it's going to be something different. I know it's going to be not something we've seen before.
Yeah.
And they know how to do it properly. They can take a mature story and make it work.
Mm-hmm. So for everybody, too. Yeah. Where like BVS, even if you liked it, I feel like you couldn't be like, oh, I could watch this with my kids, you know? And not even saying because it's dark, but just because there's times where I feel like it's a little tedious, or maybe it would be boring for a kid.
And how many people die...
Well, a lot of people die in this movie, though, too.
Yeah, but it's, like, still a PG-13 movie, whereas a lot of those deaths, like, you know, when he's just taking out cars and stabbing people in the heart and blowing up flamethrowers.
But I mean more in the sense of, like, kids can see that in horror movies. I feel more in the material where I don't feel like, even if you took out those kills or made them less brutal, a kid couldn't really watch BUS and find it that enjoyable, you know, because there is so much...
And it's because it's a shitty film.
And I'd say... And I would still say that, too, about maybe The Dark Knight, and honestly, and Dark Knight's my favorite movie of all time, but that is a movie where... I don't know how much a younger kid could have a good time. And I'm not saying Marvel's better because of that. I'm just saying that is a positive I would give to Civil War, that everybody could watch this. Even though there are times where there's a lot of talking and darkness, in my opinion, more than other films. Dylan, overall, did you have anything at the end?
I mean, just what we've said before, but I feel like it's worth echoing. Like, all these... Like, I haven't seen Winter Soldier yet, and now I feel bad, right? Because I want to...
You should, actually.
I'm definitely going to watch it soon, because I want to see more of Bucky. And I wasn't a huge fan of Captain America until this movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I was going
to ask you
as a hero, like, I'm not a
huge
fan of Captain America, but now I am, you know?
Yeah.
And, like... I get Falcons and Winter Soldier 2. I mean, I don't know how big his role is, but
he's good in it. It's just this is like much better than
and then one like I really liked it because I am a huge Paul Rudd fan.
Yeah.
But it was still just like, it was just a good movie. Yeah. But now, I'm really excited for the next one.
Oh, yeah.
Black Panther, I can't wait to see that too. And now I just want to see, Vision. I want to see, I already wanted to see Scarlet Witch, but I want to see more of it.
Yeah.
So it just gets me super hyped, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep going on this train here. I thought it was a great movie. I really liked it. Enjoyed everything about it. For you, Dylan, I haven't seen the first Captain America, but I saw Winter Soldier, and I really liked it. It's been a while since I've kind of liked a Marvel movie. I think I liked it a lot better than Ant-Man, because I didn't go see Ant-Man in theaters.
Neither did I. Wait till it was on Netflix.
Yeah, because I was just getting what Liam...
That was most people were in, for sure.
Yeah, Liam was saying before, that superhero fatigue, and definitely was getting it when... half a year ago when we were talking about Civil War, and Travis was like, yeah, it's gonna be great, but just I don't know, I'm kind of getting tired of all these films.
We didn't say that it would be
no,
bad.
they're like, I hate superheroes.
We didn't say it was gonna be bad.
We're just it's every single, it's hard to get excited for when we've seen it all before.
Yeah.
And it's
completely disagree.
Well, yeah, that's
because we've not seen this on screen, and that's the thing I always go when people say, oh, I'm tired of it, and then if it were to go away in 2 years, everyone would be like, man, wouldn't it be great if we could get that? Because these are the conversations, and I didn't go to school with you guys, but these are the conversations in school. Man, wouldn't it be great if we got this character? Wouldn't it be great if we got this storyline when we're living this age? And then I get annoyed and people are like, oh man, but there's too many now. It's but this is what we want, and we need to get while the getting's good, because if it goes away, you might not ever get that. You might not have got it as Civil War.
But as someone who doesn't read comic books,
yeah, I know, but
and get tired of all these,
and it's it's every week, and it's man, I got other stuff to do. I want to see all these movies, but sometimes you just don't have time. Life gets in the way.
Because just not to harp on Marvel, but just for someone who just sees them that come out, it's oh my goodness, another Marvel movie. They just never stop pumping.
But they only do 2 a year, and that's the thing. It's because of all the other companies that are doing it.
It's just like that obligation that people feel, right? Because if you want to see this movie, you need to see all the build up. I think I saw all of them except for
I still can't believe you haven't seen Winter Soldier. Because that was a really good film.
I've
heard
that.
Film.
I don't know why I didn't. I don't know why I didn't watch it before going to see this.
Because you did Captain America, though. I have a feeling.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, and that's the only one I haven't seen the Thors because whatever. But
I it's funny. I love Thor.
Liam's very biased because
I love Thor, but I can totally see why people are I don't really like him. But but I see why.
I think I was watching the first one and it was just not for me. I don't know.
Well, that's a good.
But that's the thing, right? That's where the fatigue where it's to see Civil War, you feel an obligation to see all these other ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess you don't need to, but it certainly
helps for the impact. The scenes that Tony and Cap are in are some of the best ones, and it does help if you know their backstory and whatnot. Yeah, if you don't, you get a gist of it.
If you haven't seen Ant-Man before this movie, I feel you might not enjoy it as much. Right? We already know you just got to spend the time to get into those characters, and that's where I think the fatigue comes from.
Yeah.
Actually, just one more thing I just like to bring up because I just thought about it. In Batman vs. Superman, they talk about the destruction of Man of Steel, and that's a big plot point in
Civil War.
Man of Steel. In
Batman
vs. Superman,
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then they still end the movie with incredible amounts of destruction.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, they talk about all the destruction in the prior movies, and then when they do their big fight, they evacuate everybody and go to the middle of nowhere. And it's not like it's that, and they don't destroy. Well,
BVS's credit, Batman took them to a place where there was no.
Yeah, but
whether you can buy it or not, in the writing they did cover that up.
But don't worry, no one's there. Oh, the whole downtown core is empty because everyone went home for work. They kept harping on it. Whereas this one, it felt no. You know what? We've done enough damage. We need to slow ourselves down. And they did it in a proper way that. I think BVS didn't do so. I really like how they're acknowledging what's happened in prior movies, and what people are being well, what about New York when you destroyed all of that? And then it gets mentioned in Jessica Jones, it gets mentioned in Daredevil, it gets it's just it just feels cohesive. It feels like a cohesive universe that's not I don't know, it's good. And it also kind of feels like it's kind of not retconning, but kind of making amends for Ultron too.
Oh,
the things
big
that
time.
people didn't like. It was kind of hey, we know you didn't like it, but don't worry, we got you.
Yeah. Overall, because you're talking about
come back to daddy
with different films and whatnot. I guess this will be our ending point to give it a score, and then if you want to talk about where it ranks in your Marvel movies, you can or not. But what would you give it?
I give it honestly. Probably give it a 10 out of 10, and it's the best Marvel movie I've seen, without a doubt. I know you talked about on the drive up how but the first time seeing the Avengers...
Don't spoil my score.
Okay, but the first time seeing Avengers is something that you'll never forget. When they do that big crane cam shot of them going around, and you're right, that's good, but. the themes that this movie deals with, the way it's dealt with, how good it is, how funny it is, how serious it is, and how well shot it is, it's the best movie that Marvel's ever done, without a doubt. And I cannot speak highly of it. The only complaints that I have are like minor nerd complaints.
Yeah, which we can't get into.
Yeah, but it's
we will. But like they are just stuff of like, oh, maybe we would have done this, but it doesn't affect it.
Yeah,
and it wouldn't make me be like, oh, that's.
And
a
it wouldn't
point
make it a
down.
better or a worse movie. It's just something we would have liked to see.
Yeah, just like Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Definitely, I would have to agree. Like even after, like, because it's been a couple days now, and sitting on that hype, like it's still there, you know. And I have to agree. I'd definitely give it a 10 as well. I think.
Yeah, we're gonna give it a 10.
Why is that? Did you almost thought or what?
Because like, actually, I have no real.
It's just it's hard to give something a 10, right?
Yeah,
so
it's
you
just
have to
hard
think about like
justify giving it a 10 like a perfect movie.
Yeah.
But I don't want to give it a 10 because the last movie I saw was the most piece of crap movie I've seen, and I was super disappointed. So that's why.
What movie?
What
movie?
Batman vs Superman.
Oh, okay. Well, you said the last movie I saw.
The last movie I saw, which was Batman vs
Okay,
Superman.
I was just curious. I was like,
thank you for let's clarify that. That I was just
so much hate.
I had no hype. Like I was really down.
Yeah, after I walked out of there, I'm like, well, that fucking sucked.
Well, I'm like, I don't want to go. Like the next movie I'm gonna go see, like I just really hope it's a little bit better. But this blew it out of the water, and I think even if I still like BVS, and this would have blown that out of the water. Just everything was so well explained. All the characters were just great, and I loved everyone in that film. There wasn't someone who I specifically hated or I didn't like. Even the action shots that we were talking about before, they were well done, and I can't say enough. It was a great film, and I was kind of worried because we were talking about earlier with all Netflix series, and like I love Daredevil and like the Jessica Jones series, and I was kind of wondering like how that's going to play in with the whole Civil War. But with this direction that Civil War went to, like I could see it now fitting in. Like I think before watching the movie Civil War, I was talking with Travis.
Oh yeah, you're like Daredevil could never be in
Daredevil could never be in it because I couldn't see it because this is a movie that you bring your kids to and then you watch Daredevil. Like,
and sorry, spoiler, but like he's not. Just so you don't hear crying like, oh man, it's Daredevil. Like he's not in there. And they've already said there's no TV characters. So before you go in being like, man, Daredevil's in there. No. He just want to clarify that.
Just comparing like the two Marvel differences where you get Daredevil, which is this dark themed,
very gritty
TV,
super violent.
TV series compared to this like PG-13 film. You can definitely see how it would fit in, and I could possibly see how Deadpool might fit in.
Well, that's
honestly, if Deadpool was in that fight scene at the airport, I think that would have been the funniest thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
Like I think seeing, even if he didn't fight, but he was just doing like reaction shots while everybody was doing cool stuff, and he's just like, holy crap, did you see him do that? Like I think that would have been incredible. But
I think it really sets them up to bring in that universe, and I think Marvel has just done an excellent job of coherently making everyone part of that one universe, and I think it's great, and it gets me more excited now for the next films that come out. Even the new TV series like Luke Cage,
Iron Fist,
Defenders is next year too.
Yeah,
that's their big crossover. So.
Right, so now you get even more because you want to see more of these characters.
Like all evolved. So
almost knocked over a bike, ladies and gentlemen.
I just can't wait. I'm ecstatic. For someone who is worried about superhero fatigue, like this movie will change your mind.
It just blew me out of the water. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
I want to see it again.
I'd love to mainline this movie.
On official opening night.
Yeah, exactly.
Where we can record it like we usually do.
No, I'd echo a lot of the things like you guys would say about the film. Civil War, just to begin with, the comic it's in probably my top 5 for favorite storylines of comic book arcs or whatnot. So it's one of these things I always remembered being younger and being like, man, I would so wish they did that storyline. I was just hoping, and obviously it's not the exact same as the comic books, but they do it justice in a way that you do feel it is a war, and that's a good thing. You don't have to worry about like, oh, because it's the Avengers and it's a family film and like they're kind of friends, that there's no stakes. The stakes are very high, and that's what you feel, and you feel that it makes a big impact on the rest of the movies that are coming that I'm very excited for. But you feel like this movie, which I guess maybe that's why Ultron kind of maybe left me a little lacking, is because I feel like there wasn't a big I didn't take anything away from it. I was like, oh, that was a fun watch. But this left me with, like you said, excitement for the future and excitement for just what they do story-wise. But yeah, Civil War, I've always wanted to happen, and it happened, and I'm ecstatic. I have to watch it again. I know I'm going to give I'm going to give a score, and everyone's going to be like, oh, all of you just love Marvel, and it's because you saw it early. But I do believe it is a 10. Like, the only thing I gotta watch it again is just because I have to decide what I like better between Avengers and Civil War. I still feel Avengers. Dark Knight's my favorite, but if you think about like a comic booky film, I feel like that's probably the best one for me up until this point. It has so many great moments, and not just like the crane shot of the team, but just the whole seeing them all together for the first time. You have this great villain in Loki, and it's just this epicness of a scope, and that's what this one does feel to me. Like when I was joking earlier about Event. That Avengers film did feel not much of a film. It felt like a huge event that you have to see. And I feel like that's what you're going to see. Especially, hopefully, you have a crowd that loves this stuff, too. Because we were there and people are clapping and like had a good time. But this film does get back to feeling like it's an event. You know, it feels like something you have to see. You definitely got to see in the theaters. And yeah, like I said, the only reason I'm going to watch again for many reasons. But the reason for like a ranking, I got to watch it to see like if I like this or Avengers. Like I might cop out one day and just say they're tied for my favorite Marvel movie. It's just that damn good. And like all I want to do is watch it again and again, just for all the moments, for the acting, for the action, for the end, for the twists and turns, and just what it sets up in the future. Like there's not really a flaw I have with it. And also I have to watch it again. You never know what could change, but I haven't walked out of a movie in a while. Last time I walked out that, it was probably Star Wars, to be honest. And Deadpool, I did, but Deadpool I was just excited for, like, that was really fun and a good movie. It was like, oh, I really want to see Deadpool 2. But this left, because it is an event film. Deadpool is more just like a fun, like, rated R, like, comedy you have a good night with. But this felt like such a huge film, and it delivered on all fronts. I didn't feel any part. I was like, oh, I wish they did this. I wish they did this. Other than, like you said, maybe some Easter eggs here and there, but nothing that would affect a score. And yeah, I think you'll at least like it if you don't love it. Like, you know, obviously some people are gonna be out there that don't like it, but I feel like it's really hard. I feel like they do everything you really want, whether it's comedy, whether it's action, whether it's the characters and their dilemmas. So, yeah, I would give it a 10 too, and I don't really give movies 10s that often. Like, I have my favorite movies are 10, but, like, those have to be, like, my top 10 movies, and I do walk away being like, yeah, that was a 10, so, yeah. Anything else before we head on out? Liam has a thought bubble face going on right now.
I think the music, actually, the music really blew me away, especially, I thought BVS had a pretty uneven soundtrack.
Yeah.
I know you like a couple of it. I really
There's a few tracks I like, but then the rest I hate. Like,
But like Black Panther's theme really stood out to me. It was only a couple notes every time he kind of like
appeared.
Yeah, they kind of do like the shot where it's kind of like a zoom in on him and he's like doing like a pose. But it felt, it felt natural and it felt like it was just good. It was like, oh, this is his thing. This is his theme. I like this, and. Oh, it's just great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was. I can't speak more highly enough.
Yeah, I couldn't recommend it enough.
Yeah,
either. Like it's one of those you have to see it. So, yeah, we'll be back in 3 more weeks when everyone else sees it. We'll do a spoiler. I'm not sure if who the culmination will be. If it'll be some people from here. I know the other Geekverse people will be seeing it. So we'll,
for the first time, a bunch of casuals.
Me and Dylan got to spend the next 3. We got to spend the next 3 casts just playing coy. We had a Deadpool going on the cast, but we can't play that game anymore. Of like, oh yeah, who do you think with that? Who do you think? We just gonna be like, oh yeah, like, but yeah. So, I forgot that we do plugs. I was like, what's next? We always do something. Yeah. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter at GeekverseCast, Geekverse Podcast. Check out our website. It's up and running. All our content's there. So if you like what we do here, everything's there. We have stuff on YouTube. We have stuff on, not stuff, but all our episodes, SoundCloud and iTunes. That's where we do the Geekverse every Saturday.
Yep.
Dynamic Duo is bi-weekly. Our next episode after this will be the 25 best performances of a comic book movie. I said this in the car that we're going to do it yearly because Downey, I liked him so much that I maybe would have put up a bit. That was a slight spoiler. I'll give a spoiler. He's under 5, but after seeing this, but that's why we're going to do it yearly because there's so many comic book movies that we're always going to judge it. But yeah, and then subscribe for specials like this. I'm not sure what we're talking about next week on Geekverse, but
probably just some news.
It won't be boring. Yeah, I think we're going to do for a newscast, talk about some news stuff. So thank you very much for tuning in. I hope we didn't give away too much. It's a great film. We all recommend it. And have a good time and stay away from spoilers.
Yeah.
That's about it.